Oh, like DNs, outside linebackers. I mean, I did it last year unofficially, so we just made it official.
Yeah.
This is my third year with the D line. I've just had 1,000 titles, so we just made it official this year.
How's that work? Because you have done a lot of different things. What do you like doing, and is this kind of the
Oh,
career path
man.
you want now?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a long and winding road. So I've had a lot of titles. It's either I can do a lot of things or I'm no good at anything. So either one, and especially here, it's just, I think it's really what Mr. Lurie and Howie promote is putting you in the best positions and using your strengths and your talents. And so been fortunate to work on the personnel side, and then work with the defensive line when Schwartzy was here, and then fortunate to be retained with Coach Gannon and work with the defensive line as well.
Will you continue to do personnel stuff in the offseason?
As a coach, yes. Yeah,
right.
But always, yes, you're always scouting.
Does one help the other? Like, does the scouting background help as a coach or no?
Yeah, what begets what? I don't know. Yes and yes. The scout. I think it gives you a big picture view, right? I mean, a lot of position coaches might be a little myopic to their position, so I think it just gives you the macro of the football team and how your position relates to the other.
How do you like the overhang situation, especially with the guys you have on the team?
I like our group. We're fortunate. We have depth. Howie's. I mean, that's death and taxes, right? You're going to have linemen around here, and so. We have them, and we're blessed to have that kind of depth, yeah.
How does being a former O-line coach help you in terms of teaching the other side of the ball?
I mean, Jeff, it's the whole thing, really. I mean, it does give you a perspective, and it gives you. I mean, information is the currency in the NFL, and so it does give you that. It does give you that insight to who our guys are going against, and it helps JG as well, just a little insight as to how they might be attacking our defense. And so but it's really just as a position coach, you do have information, and our guys soak it up. We've got a very inquisitive group, so that's helped quite a bit.
For someone like Reddick, it seemed he struggled in the NFL when he was being trying to fit into a box. How are you kind of tailoring his position to his skill set now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that's the big one. We've used some of the things that he's done. I mean, we studied him quite a bit, what they did with him in Arizona with Vance Joseph, and then what Phil Snow did with him in Carolina last year, and how he fits into what we'll do. And he's a man of many hats and very valuable with that. And he's been more than we thought. I mean, and we thought very highly of him, obviously, but just his attitude, his energy, his professionalism, much less his physical skill set, has been a really big addition for us.
What makes him unique as a pass rusher?
He can run. I mean, that's number one. He's fast, but he has unusual strengths for his size, and he's sudden, which is a big deal. I think because the windows are so tight to rush in the NFL, and so he's got that wiggle that really helps quite a bit. And so let him to be very productive.
How much do you lean on your father for instructing D-line guys?
A lot. I mean, he's retired, and when I say he's retired. Like he's off on the farm as he said he would, and he did. But he's always a phone call away, and especially when I made this transition, he was familiar with what we did with Jim, so he was able to help Matt Burke and myself and Nate Ollie coach the D-line that year especially. But even just the pass rush stuff, he's great. He's always helpful.
How much does the instruction change? Because the scheme has gotten considerably different, Jim versus Jonathan.
Yeah,
I mean, they were.
I was with both of them. Yeah, that's a great question, Jeff. I mean, not as much as you would think. There's a lot more similarity than you would think. As far as just our little world as the front, there's a lot of similarities, and they're very similar men. I'm not going to go into gym stuff, but yeah, it's more similar than you would think from a technique standpoint for our guys.
BG has told the story of sort of burying the hatchet, I guess, as he described it with your dad. What's your relationship with him been like?
Well, I mean, gosh, Brandon Graham's in my all-time favorite people to coach. So, I mean, it's very good, and I'm probably more my mom than my dad. But, yeah, they did. And, I mean, it was a different season of life for BG. He was a rookie, and Dad was a hardcore, coach. And so I think both he and Fletch had their moments with Dad, but they're both very close with him.
What about BG? You said he's one of your all-time favorites to coach. What about him, makes him one of your all-time favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to keep this succinct, but I mean, you guys see it. He's Mr. Eagle. But even behind closed doors, and I say this, and I'm going to be careful with the comparison, but I was in Baltimore as a young guy when Ray Lewis, and Ray Lewis was Ray Lewis behind the closed doors as much as he was in the cameras, and that's what Brandon Graham is. Brandon Graham in the meeting room, in the locker room, the one-on-ones, all those things, he's always, he's always in tune. His energy's palpable. The things he does for just the rookie free agents, the people around the building, and he's a productive player that shows up the same way every day. So that's why I love coaching. And he's a nice guy.
I know you guys were doing this last year. You were coaching the overhang guys, but you have
Jeff.
more guys that I think fill the positions the way John wants them in terms of getting Jordan Davis at nose tackle. That allow other guys to play more of the traditional spots. You have Hasson, who's a strong side linebacker. That allows other guys to maybe not have to play out of position. How, is you giving you this title a reflection of that now they have kind of a little more clearly defined guys playing in roles?
You would think that, but not really. I mean, I'm literally doing the same thing I did last year. It's just a different title. I mean, we really haven't. And as far as where guys align, that's still going to be week to week, game plan to game plan based on who we play and especially matchups. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it is a matchup league, and that's our biggest job is just to find their weakness and use our strength.
Are there
What
things
stands out
about
Jonathan as a coach and a leader?
Now I'm sorry.
What stands out about Jonathan as a coach and a leader?
Very organized, high energy, same way every day. Good communicator, and he's a good person, and you can feel that. He's really authentic, and so it's easy to work for guys like that.
You mentioned some of the off-field things, but are there on-field things you've learned about Hasson since he's been here?
On-field stuff? Yeah, he's faster and more explosive than we thought he was going to be. Yes, on the field, yes.
You spoke about your time scouting, and you said you still do that, but was there a point where you thought you were on a GM track as opposed to a coaching track?
Man, that's a good question. Yes, but that's for Joe Douglas and everybody and that crew. I mean, and they're wonderful at it. And Howie, that's his Marvel Universe power. He's got that energy to be a GM. And I got the taste of coaching and got back into scouting. And you miss the relationships and you miss that April to January journey with the group. And so that was ultimately the choice, and I was so fortunate to be in this place where they give you that ability to do that.
In a macro sense, how important do you feel like the cohesion between coaching staff and scouting department is?
Huge. There's a handful of teams where you can feel that synergy, and I think we are one of them, where there's one vision, it's one alignment. And it does have to do with ownership. I mean, our owner is tremendous, and so he promotes that synergy between scouting and coaching. And I've been in some places that haven't, and this place is.
How does that make a difference?
Well, I mean, it's the product on the field. I mean, who you draft is reflected on what we do on the field, and there's one voice, one vision, and you can feel that in the way that we draft players specific to what we do.
How is Tehran different this year versus last year?
How is who?
Tarron Jackson.
Tehran. I thought you said Kyron. I was like, I didn't have him last year. No, Tehran is. He's one of those guys, and he's a lot like the offensive lineman I coached in the past, where he just works at something, consistently every day to the best of his ability. And so you can see that. You can tell when he came back to training camp. I said, "Hey, you've been working at this, haven't you?" And he's like, "Every day, coach." So you can just tell. So it really is it's his work ethic. He's got ability, but it's his focus and his drive and his work ethic that's standing out this year. And it's allowing him to stand out. It's a great question.
Yeah, I think everybody, trainers, coaches, staff, everybody, we're kind of on the same page with, it's not aggravate something. You can turn a one-day thing into a lingering thing, and just preseason and the time to do that. So give it a day's rest off the game, come back in, practice next week. So, it's got a long season, so you just got to stay on top of things.
How important are both sides of you have shuffled and stuff? How has that affected you?
I mean, I have trust in everybody in that room. we're in meetings out here, we're an individual, we're in practice every day. I have confidence in whoever steps into that position that they're going to execute at the high level that we expect everybody to. I mean, there's a standard around here, and no matter who's going in there, we expect whoever it may be to play to that standard. And I think the guys stepping in around with things we've had happen, guys go down in camp, guys stepping up, new positions. Everybody on the O-line, I think, has done a really good job of adapting to that and handling it really well.
With Cam specifically, a rookie stepping into some very big shoes, how impressed with him have you been?
Cam, he's a phenomenal player, great athlete, really intellectual guy. He's fitting in really well. He's learning really quick. Obviously, it's a big adjustment to the NFL. But he's doing a phenomenal job of handling it one day at a time, coming in every day after practice and walk through, seeing the corrections he's got to make, looking at film, studying and understanding, here's what I got to fix, here's what I got to work on. And I think he's doing an excellent job right now. He's getting better every day, and that's all I can ask for.
How does having somebody that athletic, you have it with Kelsey and again with Cam, how does having a guy like that help you?
Wait, you repeat that? Sorry, I thought he was talking.
How does having somebody athletic like Cam or Kelsey for last year, how does that help you?
I think everybody in this league's athletic. I think they bring a lot more to the table than just being athletic. They're really smart guys, they're physical guys, and they know how to play their position well. I think it's tremendous because, when you practice with these guys and play with guys, you learn, everybody is a little different in how they play and, what their footwork's like, how they fit into blocks, all this stuff. And I think it's been, a good experience having, Kels at the beginning of camp, Cam now, and, being able to work with different guys. So no matter what the situation comes up during the season, we've been there already.
Landon, what kind of challenges, facing the Browns in practices and stuff like that, what kind of challenges, especially with their defensive line, does that present for you guys?
I think the Browns are a really good team. Joint practices, I think, are very valuable. I'm not sure what the game situation looks like with us this week, so, coach is going to play who he wants to play. So, getting these reps in practice against guys that we haven't been practicing with, they may play a little different, and it's always a good experience to be able to play against different people and learn how to kind of adjust your technique, because that's how it goes during the season. You get into a game, you think this guy's playing one way or another, and you realize I got to change up something a little bit. So I think it's a great opportunity for not only me but everybody to really kind of work on adapting in the situation.
It was a pretty big deal when Marvin Wilson signed with Florida State. What do you remember about him in college, and how has he grown since then?
Marvin's always been a great dude. I really enjoyed him, and there's a lot of kids around. I've always enjoyed him. He's always been a great guy, really good football player, really smart guy, and that's one thing he brings to the table is being able to talk to him during practice. I know even some of the other O linemen do it. They'll talk to him like, hey, what are you seeing in my X, Y, Z, run game, pass it, whatever it is. And, he's able to kind of, help us, tell us what he sees. We can tell him what we see by them. And that's how you get better is, we're competing against each other every day, but we're also wanting to know, hey, what are you seeing in me that I can fix? And what am I seeing in you can fix? And so it's, it's really good having him here. I think he's been a great addition to us.
After being, you've been here for now a little over a year. Where do you feel most comfortable off the field in terms of
My bad?
Normalizing, yeah. Oh. Not just in terms of getting used to being in the NFL, being in another city, all the stuff that goes with moving to a new place.
Pretty comfortable.
There hasn't been anything that's been a struggle for you in terms of that part of it.
Go to my house, get in my bed, I'm pretty comfortable.
That's about it.
Landon, with Jalen, is there any traits or practices that he has that kind of links back to Alabama, where you can kind of tell that he's an Alabama guy from lack of better term?
I just think his mindset, and I don't think that just relates back to Alabama, but I think his mindset and just how he approaches, every day, every practice, every meeting, every play, every situation. He's got the mindset of, executing, being in the moment, and also, getting better every single day. He comes out here with a game plan every day, what he wants to work on. Same thing in meetings, and I think that's the biggest thing is he's always trying to get better and always trying to execute, what's in front of him. He's not looking at the play behind him. He's not looking at the play ahead. He's right where his feet are. So.
All right, thanks, Landon.